She's a lot bit woo-woo, and she's doing the do. Welcome to the Woo and the Do podcast, where Irina and Christine Michelle teach you how to combine the spiritual and the physical. Because you get to use all of you and the universe to manifest a life you enjoy. Come join us. Let's have some fun. Hi, everybody. I am Christine Michelle.
And I'm Irina Pichura.
And we are the Woo and the Do podcast. This is going to be a super fun podcast. It is all about the woo-woo spiritual, but also about the physical. I'm a lot bit woo, and Irina is doing the do, as you heard in the intro. And what we're going to be doing in this podcast is really just talking about all of those fun spiritual concepts, but then how to bring it into your physical, combining your mind, your heart, and your body all into one, and how to utilize that to create the life that you truly enjoy. So for me, I am a 20-year corporate veteran. I worked for the likes of Coca-Cola and Victoria's Secret, Deloitte & Touche, and many, many, many other places. And I really was hardcore spiritual for all of my life. I grew up Christian. We grew up, ask, believing, receiving, and creating reality. I was journaling since I was 6, but I also was very strategic. But I found that as I grew up, I really leaned into the woo-woo side of me. And now I am a manifestation coach, and I help women that I work with manifest the lives that they enjoy using both woo-woo and spiritual and practical tools. So that's me. That's who I am. I'm in Florida right now. I've lived in Atlanta. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I have lived in my favorite city in the world, New York, which is where Irina is from. Irina, tell everybody a little bit more about you.
Awesome. That was such a great intro. I can't follow up as well. But I am a native New Yorker. I also was in corporate for the majority of my life. Right now, just like Christine, I am an entrepreneur. And I, grew up not religious. My parents are somewhat religious, but religion wasn't a really big thing in my, growing up. But I actually acquired The Secret, which is, where I learned about manifestation, law of attraction in my first job at ADP. So I was actually depressed going through a breakup, and one of my coworkers was listening to me ranting and complaining and, being kind of mopey and down and said, you know what, there's a book that you should read. So I said, what is this book? And she said, it's The Secret. And I'm like, So of course I go on YouTube, I run into my cubicle and secretly go on YouTube. And, I start watching, it's also a movie at the time. I start watching this and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go home and learn all about this. And that's where I learned about the spirituality, law of attraction. And I didn't really apply it. I applied it for what it was, because as you know, The Secret isn't, I don't know if this is like way past the intro, a tangent, but The Secret gives you just, I think, the very basics, like the core basics, the understanding of what it is, right? It's not everything else that we're going to talk about on this podcast. And it's what I needed. It didn't give me the application, like how do I actually do this stuff? And of course, positive thinking can only get you so far. So I'm, driving around town trying to think all these positive thoughts, forcing them, not realizing I'm not really doing the manifestation. So I wasn't really getting results. So I kind of dropped it and it fell out of my life up until, funny enough, probably about a year and a half ago, where I was really down and out and in a really bad, funky place in my life. I was transitioning back into corporate, and I was just like in a bad place with relationships, with men, just in general. I was in a funk, I was lost, and I connected with a spiritual coach online, and she talked about feminine energy, and she didn't specifically say like this is manifestation, this is law of attraction, this is what we're doing, but her core like teachings were visualization, laying down, meditating, taking care of yourself, self-care, all of the things that are manifestation that I didn't even know, affirmations. So all of these things that I actually resisted for so long and I thought were so stupid and, just laying there meditating, what is that going to do? I found by doing that, I was able to actually get where I wanted, and actually acquire the relationship that I want, the job that I want, all the things that I want. And the more that I did it, the more I incorporated those things into my life, the more I now have the life that I desire. So that's kind of my intro.
I love your intro. Your intro is so good. And the beautiful thing about it was that you made so many points. You said that you did start it, and then when it wasn't like necessarily working out the way that you hoped it would, you were like, okay, I'm going to go away. But then it always comes back. And that's something I always like to make sure my clients understand, is that you missed the bus, but it's coming back. It's coming back. Right. The lesson that you maybe didn't learn, and I hate to call it a lesson, but the thing that you decided to not be aware of or pay attention to or acknowledge at the moment will come back. And that gives you another chance. It's like a gift. So I love that. And it really is, the secret was a wonderful place for people. Like I said, I started when I was 6, right? And I realized that, wow, I wrote this down and it happened just the way I wanted it to. Right. Or wow, I said this and this happened just the way I wanted it to. And so I really learned that. But then when the secret came, you put 2 and 2 together. Or when I was reading Abraham Hicks and, in the 80s or something, like, it's like, this all makes sense, and then you Seth books and all of that stuff, you start to realize you're like, it all is the same. Like all of the things that have been spoken about in a lot of different religions or different spiritual practices, it's all saying the same stuff. And that's what the fun part is. And it was also really interesting, I love about your story, is when you said when you started to meditate and actually do the tools, but it was really, the purpose was to make you feel better, to step into like being and having and doing now. And it wasn't to manifest everything.
Right.
That's how it all like flowed in, like, because you were allowing what was already there and ready for you. So it's going to be so fun. I'm really excited to talk about this because a lot of times people, I have so many tools and I have tips and I have all the tricks and all the things, but really that's not to help God, universe, source manifest it. Like they're done. Like they are done. He, she, God, universe, they're done. You asked, it's done. All of these tools are for you. They're for you to align with it, for you to get in alignment with what you desire, get you in alignment with it now so that you can feel it, be at the same energetic frequency of whatever that is, so that just flows right into your life. And that's what you did by doing the meditation, doing all of the things. You brought yourself up to the energetic frequency of what was already ready for you right now.
And my life looks so different. Just about 2 years ago, it looked completely different. I was living by myself. I was stuck in a rut. And I resisted doing it so much because like these things seem so easy, right? It's like self-care, taking a bath, listening to affirmations, laying there and just being quiet, not doing anything. It sounds kind of like counterintuitive. Like why would I lay there if I'm trying to accomplish so much, right? I need to be go, do. How many hours do I have in a day? How do I optimize my time? Very masculine energy, right? And for us women, especially, that's something I really want to explore in this podcast, is that feminine energy and that flow. And we can be and do and accomplish so much, right? If we just listen to that guidance, that flow, and step into all of that. And I feel like a lot of us don't do that.
Yeah. Stepping into the intuition too, like we second guess, we don't go with the first thought. And, that's something that we'll definitely talk about, intuition and how it plays a role in that, because I feel like a lot of times we're taught to second guess. We're taught to not go with our first instinct. We're taught to keep looking outside of ourselves for everything that's already within. So
that's been so huge for me, especially asking people's opinions. I actually just did a live on Instagram about asking other people's opinions. And I heavily relied on so many people's opinions about everything. And it's when I did my own thing is really when I was happy. Even if it was a mistake, it was a mistake for me to learn and grow from, right? It was my own journey. Whenever I made somebody else's mistake, that's when I regretted it.
right? Because you're like, man, I knew not to do that. Yes, your soul has been telling you not to do that. I have so many stories about that. So it's going to be fun. This was just a short introduction of us and how we play against each other. Like I said, I'm super woo-woo, so I'm into all of the things, but you'll see that so is Irina. She's very into the woo-woo, and then we're both into the do, but there is like a difference in the way we approach things. So that's what's so fun. We'll be able to play off of each other, and
The yin and the yang.
Yes, the chicken. Yes, we're so excited about this, and we're looking forward to just enjoying the next podcast. So definitely listen in. Let us know, email us, subscribe. Let us know if you have any questions. We look forward to just hanging out with you.
Yay!
Hey, hugs, kisses, all the feels for me. And remember, my big thing is to remember to take aligned soul action. So
absolutely.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the Woo and the Do podcast. If you loved it as much as we loved recording it for you, please leave a review. And join me and Irina on Facebook and Instagram at The Woo and The Do. Also, please come hang out with us in the lounge on Facebook. It is our insiders group. You'll have access to me and you'll have access to Irina, and we will give you show notes and freebies and all kinds of amazingness, and you can connect with more listeners of this podcast and have a listening party. In the meantime, remember to embrace all of your woo-woo goodness and continue to take that divine inspired action and do the do. Bye.